Welcome, dear friends, to my video lecture in English. This is on TRB NET Education Paper, Unit 1, Education Studies, and each unit consists of 4 parts A, B, C, D, etc. And in order to make it interesting for you, I would like to give each part separately in separate video so that I can add more important questions. At the same time, I can explain a little more in one area, namely part A, part A, part B, part C, part D. There are 4 parts. So in this video, I am going to give you part A. I will give you the syllabus also. What is part A. What are the topics given in the syllabus, and accordingly we will be analyzing some important questions, answers and explanations. If there is any need, we will explain further with the examples. All these things we will do in each video, and each video will consist of one part. Out of 4 parts, one part. So on the whole, each unit will have 4 videos, 4 parts, 4 videos. So that would be very helpful to you. So in this video, I am attaching some important questions. I mean higher order thinking questions. Not only memory based questions, I am also including what we call higher order questions. So that way it will be very helpful for you to crack TRB net. TRB net will be very simple for you, provided you go through all these questions. Of course, the questions will be changing, according to the the examiner's likes. That doesn't matter, but we will give all the important ideas in each question. The same question may not be there, but the same idea will be there. I am absolutely sure about it. So many of you have supported me in the T and SET exam. I have given quite a lot of videos for you. So my surprise, I just see so many of you have gone through my higher order questions, 300, 400, 900 even. So I am simply excited when I just look at it. That means you value my videos. I am sure it will be very helpful for you, no doubt about it. I see to it that now you are getting very quality material in order to crack net. So that way, dear friends, God bless you abundantly. Continue to watch my videos, and you can suggest to me also. And I am giving my contact number, BSNL number. Sometimes I will not be able to get it also, but doesn't matter. I'll give you that BSNL number, and please contact me in case you need anything specific, so that personally I can do something. If you wish, to have certain things, personally approach me. I give you the contact number. Most welcome. I'm sure, whatever I'm giving you will be of great help to you. And also the previous year question papers also I am going to analyze. Now I got the formula for that, but it is easy for me to do that. So only thing, certain technologies, I am just old, I am just learning new things nowadays, and so it may take 2 or 3 days to understand that particular type of technology to take all the questions in the word form and everything. Well, I am just doing that. I am also learning like you. It's really exciting for me, to know certain things and then execute them for the benefit of others like you. So that way I really thank the Lord for the wonders He makes through technology. See, the technology helps me a lot, to give the proper, material for you in a proper sequence and in proper mode. All these things are due to modern technology, and technology slowly I am also learning like you. So God bless you abundantly. Let us straight away enter into the topic. But hereafter we will be having 4 videos for every unit. So mind you, and also not only straight questions I will give, higher order question also I will be giving in each part. So that way it will be a real feast to your ears, and it will be really make your mind very alert towards TRB net exam. God bless you abundantly. Let us straight away enter into the topic, that is part A of Unit 1 Education Studies. Right. Dear friends, in this part we are having certain topics like this: contribution of Indian schools of philosophy, Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, with a special reference to Vidya, Dhyana, Darshan and Islamic traditions towards the educational aims and methods of acquiring valid knowledge. Now let us ask some questions. What is the oldest Hindu philosophical system? So on the whole, we are having some five, Indian schools. Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, and also Islamic tradition. So on the whole, you are having five Indian schools of philosophy, and we are going to learn through questions. Of course, a lot of explanation also will be given to you, so that you understand the material very nicely. And also I suggest you, even before starting, I would like to tell you, for descriptive answers, kindly go through all the explanation part. For an example, suppose I am going to talk about Sankhya Yoga, whatever you find in explanation part, put them together. That will be a very, very fitting answer for any question under that topic. So questions have been formulated in such a manner that the explanation part will be very helpful for writing your descriptive answers in TRB net. So it will be very small, at the same time very pointed, focused, and you will be able to put into your memory so easily. So that way language will be very simple, and you can straight away write down those ideas in a notebook, and then you can learn by heart. So this will be very helpful for you to write the descriptive answers without any worry, without any tension or excitement. So before beginning, I would like to tell you about this. Suppose you find it difficult to get lot of materials and all, this is the best way. After all, they are going to ask questions from the syllabus only. So whatever explanation part we are having, put them together. That will be the very fitting answer for any of the questions in the descriptive area. So I mean, either paper 1 or paper 2. So I appeal to you, I mean, take down all those points in a separate notebook, so that you are able to put them into your memory so easily, and without any tension you will be able to write the exam so wonderfully. You can even have a practice with this explanatory part in these questions. That will have great help. Of course, you will be having notes and all. Along with that, you keep this also. Perhaps this will be very helpful to you. God bless you abundantly. Let us straight away enter into the topic. What is the oldest Hindu philosophical system? Of course, we know that is Samkhya. Samkhya is the oldest Hindu philosophical system that dates back to the 6th century before Christ. What does Samkhya philosophy teach about the relationship between the individual and the universal soul? So the individual is separate from the universal soul. They are not interconnected. In a way, they are interconnected, but still they are separate. That is what you must understand. So according to Samkhya philosophy, the individual soul is separate from the universal soul. The individual soul is responsible for its own liberation, because it is under Maya. So many earthly things are surrounding its soul, the individual soul. So sometimes it is unable to become fully aware of the universal soul. That is, ever unchanging power in the universe, unchanging entity in the universe. So individual soul is unable to do that because of its attachment to the worldly affairs. That is what the Sankhya philosophy talks about. So the individual soul is responsible for its own liberation, but still they are different. They are interconnected in a way, at the same time they are different. That is how we must argue. Then what is the goal of the Samkhya philosophy? that is to achieve liberation from suffering. What is suffering? Suffering in the world, because a lot of attachment with the worldly affairs, and that makes the person suffer, and there is no liberation for the person. So that is the idea here. What is the goal of Samkhya philosophy? To achieve liberation from suffering. The ultimate goal of Samkhya philosophy is to achieve liberation from suffering or attaining moksha. It is believed that this can be achieved through yoga and meditation. According to Samkhya philosophy, how many categories of existence are there? There are two. Of course, in Tamil also I already explained to you, but there are two. According to Samkhya philosophy, there are two categories of existence, namely Purusha, the soul, and Prakriti, that is nature, world, or human being, or man or woman. So, Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti, world. Purusha, the unchanging, eternal consciousness. Purusha is the unchanging, eternal consciousness. Prakriti is the man or nature or the world, which is tainted with the attachments to the worldly things due to sense experiences, due to I am Buddhas, we call it air, water, all these things. There are 24 Tirthankaras. These elements are actually affecting the human beings to understand fully the eternal unchanging consciousness, namely the Purusha. The awareness of this is really liberation from suffering. If the man or woman is able to become aware of this, his condition, that is the purest consciousness and the tainted life of the world. So if someone is aware of that, then it leads to liberation from the suffering. So that is the idea of Samkhya philosophy. What is the relationship between Purusha and Prakriti? They are separate but interconnected. That is, already we have seen that. According to Samkhya philosophy, Purusha and Prakriti are separate but interconnected. Purusha is the eternal, unchanging consciousness, while Prakriti is the ever-changing material world. That is why the suffering. It is always changing. According to our situations of the mind, the Prakriti is always changing for us and for the entire world. So we are unable to understand or become fully aware of the unchanging consciousness. Once we begin to become aware of it, that is liberation. That is what Sankhya philosophy talks about liberation. That is how it talks about liberation. What is the purpose of yoga according to Sankhya philosophy? That is to achieve liberation from suffering. That is the key word here. Achieving liberation from suffering. The purpose of yoga according to Samkhya philosophy is to achieve liberation from suffering or attaining moksha. It is believed that this can be achieved through yoga and meditation. What is the source of suffering according to Samkhya philosophy? That is ignorance of the mind. We are not aware of the full consciousness of the unchanging world, that is so unchanging soul, universal soul. We are unable to become aware of it. That is because of ignorance, and that is suffering also. So according to Samkhya philosophy, the source of suffering is ignorance or avidya. Ignorance is caused by the misidentification of the individual with the material world. He becomes one with the material world, and he fails to see or to become aware of the eternal unchanging consciousness. That is the idea here. He thinks that he is identifying with the universal soul, but it is not so, because he is identifying himself with the material world. Material world is always changing. So naturally it creates in him confusions due to his sense experience and all this, and it prevents him from identifying himself with the universal soul. That is ignorance of the mind, or avidya. What is the purpose of the 8 limbs of yoga? That is to attain liberation from suffering. The purpose of the 8 limbs of yoga according to Samkhya philosophy is to attain liberation from suffering or attaining moksha. The 8 limbs are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So there are 8 limbs. Once again I am just repeating: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, Pratyahara, Tarana, Dhyana and Samadhi. These are the 8 limbs of yoga. The 8 limbs of yoga are a foundational framework outlined in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. I think yoga was, he was the one who invented this yogic system, Yoga Sutras, and he is the propounder of Yoga Sutra, that is Patanjali. So, 8 limbs of yoga are a foundational framework outlined in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. They provide a comprehensive guide to living a meaningful and purposeful life. So, here are the names and brief meanings of each limb. That's what I am giving just now. Yama. Yama means ethical discipline. Yama refers to ethical standards and integrity in one's actions. It includes principles like non-violence, ahimsa, truthfulness, satya, non-stealing, asteya, celibacy or sexual restraint, brahmacharya, and non-possessiveness or non-greed, abarikraga, that is not getting attached to the material possessions. That is the avarice or greed on material things. So there should not be any greed. That is called non-possessions or non-greed. That is called abarikraha. Getting away from the material things. That is called abarikraha. These names are very important because I am sure you may be getting questions on this. So once again I repeat, the yama includes principles like non-violence, ahimsa, truthfulness, satya, non-stealing, asteya, celibacy or sexual restraint, brahmacharya, and non-possessiveness or non-greed, abarigraha. Niyama, self-discipline. Niyama focuses on self-discipline and personal observances. It includes principles like cleanliness, saucha, contentment, santosha, austerity or self-discipline, that is tapas, self-study or introspection, swadhyaya, and surrender to a higher power, that is Ishvara Pranitana, that is surrender to a higher power, that is called Ishvara Pranitana. Then there is another limb that is called asana. There is another part of yoga, that is asana, physical postures. Asana refers to the practice of physical postures in yoga. It involves various body positions designed to promote physical health, flexibility, strength and balance, as well as to prepare the body for meditation. Through asanas, one gets ready for the meditation. That is the idea here. Then pranayama. Pranayama means breath control. Pranayama involves breath control techniques aimed at regulating and extending the breath to enhance vitality and mental clarity. It helps in cultivating awareness, focus and relaxation through conscious breathing. So I hope you understand this breathing, no? Right. That is pranayama. Then pratyahara, that is a withdrawal of senses. I mean from sense experience. Not to be too much attached towards the worldly things through the senses, the withdrawal of senses. Pratyahara. Pratyahara is the practice of withdrawing the senses from external stimuli and turning one's focus inward. There are so many distractions out in the outside world, not to be distracted by it, but turning oneself, one's focus inside the mind. That is called pratyahara. In other words, concentration. It involves consciously detaching from sensory experiences to cultivate their inner awareness and mental stillness, that is calmness, serenity. Then the next limb of yoga is Tarana, that is concentration. Tarana refers to the practice of concentration, focusing the mind on a single point or object of meditation. It involves training the mind to sustain attention and prevent distractions, laying the groundwork for deeper states of meditation. Then dhyana, meditation. Dhyana is the uninterrupted flow of concentration, leading to a state of meditation where the mind is fully absorbed in the object of focus. It involves cultivating a state of inner stillness, calmness, heightened awareness, that is increased awareness, and profound tranquility, deep peace within oneself, profound tranquility. That is a deep peace. So that is called dhyana. That is the last, this is the last limb of yoga, namely samadhi. Samadhi means union with the object of meditation or the divine. In other words, union with the divine. Samadhi. Samadhi is the ultimate goal of yoga, a state of deep absorption or union with the object of meditation or the divine. It is a state of pure awareness where the practitioner experiences a sense of oneness with the universe, transcending individuality and ego. So, one transcends himself or herself. No more selfish, not having any subjective, element, in one's mind. Rather, transcending oneself and reaching and getting united with the divine. So, that is called transcending individuality and ego. What is the relationship between Samkhya and yoga? Samkhya is the foundation of yoga. That is how we hold it. Samkhya is the foundation of yoga. Samkhya is the foundation of yoga. It is a philosophical system upon which the practice of yoga is based. So that way, Samkhya is the foundation of yoga. What is the purpose of the 8 limbs of Samkhya yoga? That is just for achieving liberation from suffering, liberation from the birth and the rebirth cycle. So that is to achieve liberation. That is the purpose of 8 limbs of Samkhya yoga. The 8 limbs of Samkhya yoga are designed to help practitioners achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and rebirth and death. In other words, the 8 limbs are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. You must know how to explain all these. This is a nice question also. This may come in the what you call memory based and understanding based question. That is paper 1 of part B of paper 1. There now you are going to get some descriptive answers. Such kind of questions may be asked there because it is descriptive in nature. Memory based and understanding based question. This one, that is limbs of yoga, 8 limbs of yoga. So better you study it again and again, get it correctly. I am sure such questions will be there in the question paper. What is the purpose of pranayama in Samkhya yoga? What is the purpose of pranayama in Samkhya yoga? To increase mental clarity. Pranayama is a breathing technique used in Samkhya yoga to cultivate mental clarity and focus. By focusing on the breath, practitioners can increase their awareness and clarity of mind, which is important for achieving liberation. What is the primary source of Buddhist teachings? Now we are going for Buddhism. What is the primary source of Buddhist teaching? That is the Tripitaka. I think Tripitaka. The Tripitaka, that is three baskets, is a collection of Buddhist teachings consisting of the Sutta Pitaka, the Vinaya Pitaka and the Abhidhamma Pitaka. So, these are all 3 baskets, basket, Tripitaka. They are nothing but, the teachings in Buddhism. The stories of Buddha, all these things are there, rituals, stories told by Buddha, all these things are there. Right. So, Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka are the 3 baskets in the Tripitaka. In Buddhism, we are talking about Buddhism, right? Who wrote the Dhammapada? Dhammapada, there is one, concept called Dhammapada. So, who wrote that? Mahakassapa. The Dhammapada is a Buddhist scripture attributed to the elder Mahakassapa. The text is composed of 423 verses and is divided into 26 chapters. That is Dhammapada by Mahakassapa. What is the second noble truth? Of course, we know all the 4 truths. You must know by heart. Very important. But here, what is the second noble truth? That is the cause of suffering is desire. There is suffering. That is the first noble truth. There is suffering. Whether you like it or not, there is suffering in the world. That is the first truth. The second truth is on. The cause of suffering is desire. What is the cause for suffering? That is desire. Greed, in other words. The second noble truth states that the cause of suffering is desire or craving. It explains that suffering is caused by wanting something that cannot be attained or by wanting to avoid something that cannot be avoided. I hope you understand this. Very nice words, no? They are playing with the words. What is the idea here? This second noble truth explains that suffering is caused by wanting something that cannot be attained. You cannot attain, but still you want it, and because of that suffering. In another condition, by wanting to avoid something that cannot be avoided. You cannot avoid certain things, but then you want to avoid. That is also suffering. Both ways. Suffering comes from both ways. Something that, wanting something that cannot be attained, by wanting to avoid something that cannot be avoided. Very interesting, no? So we have to keep this in mind. Very important concept. The second noble truth. How to explain second noble truth? This is how you will explain. What is the third noble truth? That is, the end of suffering is possible. Of course, other things are given here, but then the one or two are inappropriate, not okay. But you must know all the four noble truths. Immediately you will find out. Don't worry about the distractions or alternatives. If you are going to analyze all this, that is the source of your excitement and confusion. No, you just have four truths. Immediately you can spot out which is the right one. What is the third noble truth? That is, the end of suffering is possible. I mean, not that we cannot avoid suffering. We can avoid suffering. Certainly we can end suffering. Our own misfortunes we can end. It is a possibility. That is the idea here. So the end of suffering is possible. The third noble truth states that the end of suffering is possible. It explains that suffering can be ended through following the eightfold path and living a life of wisdom and compassion. What is the purpose of the eightfold path? That is the fourth one actually. The fourth noble truth. Eightfold path. So what is the purpose of the eightfold path? That is to attain enlightenment. The eightfold path is the path outlined by Siddhartha Gautama to obtain enlightenment. It consists of 8 practices that must be followed in order to reach enlightenment. So what is the fourth noble truth? This one. This is the eightfold path. So what is the fourth noble truth? The path to the end of suffering, that is called Ashtanga or eightfold path. Ashtanga also another word we use it. The path to end of suffering is Ashtanga or eightfold path. That is the fourth noble truth. The fourth noble truth states that the path to the end of suffering is the eightfold path. Through this, one can attain freedom. One can say no to suffering. In other words, one can be liberated or one can attain enlightenment. That is the idea here. So the fourth noble truth states that the path to the end of suffering is the eightfold path. It explains that following the eightfold path will help individuals to end suffering and obtain enlightenment. Now let us talk about what is the Vinaya Pitaka. What is the Vinaya Pitaka? That is a set of rules for Buddhist monks. Of course, there are other alternatives are there. If you are going to analyze each and everything, we cannot finish it. Otherwise, a lot of confusion also will be there. Simply go by the concepts, the truth of the concepts, understanding the concepts. Then you will be able to easily tick off the correct ones, right? So what is the Vinaya Pitaka? That is a set of rules for Buddhist monks. The Vinaya Pitaka is one of the 3 baskets of Buddhist teachings, and it is a set of rules and regulations for Buddhist monks. It outlines the rules and guidelines that must be followed by monks in order to reach enlightenment. What is the Abhidhamma Pitaka? What is the meaning of that? Abhidhamma Pitaka. One of the baskets, three baskets we know, but what is the meaning of it? It is a collection of Buddhist teachings. The Abhidhamma Pitaka is one of the 3 baskets of Buddhist teachings, and it is a collection of teachings on topics such as philosophy, ethics, and psychology. It is considered to be a deeper and more philosophical explorations of the teachings found in the Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka. You must understand this Abhidhamma Pitaka. Actually, it gives you the deeper and more philosophical explanation of the teachings from Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka. Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka, very practical, yes. It gives some sort of theory, like, that is the understanding. Abhidhamma Pitaka, it talks about philosophy, ethics, and psychology of, all this. There's a Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka, the teachings. Okay, in a way, it is a deeper explanations of the teaching found in the Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka. I hope you understand this. With all deep ideas, but then you can understand it if you go slowly. So Abhidhamma Pitaka is one of the three baskets of Buddhist teaching. It is a collection of teachings on topics such as philosophy, ethics, and psychology from the teachings of Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka. That is how we must understand. They are categorizing that knowledge, whatever they have got from Sutta and Vinaya Pitaka. This Abhidhamma Pitaka puts them into categories of philosophy, ethics, and psychology. That way you can understand. What is the Buddhist concept of voidness, emptiness, sunya? What is the Buddhist concept? That is the realization that nothing has inherent existence. This peeled off onion, உரித்த வெங்காயம், வாழ்க்கை என்பது உரித்த வெங்காயம். People used to say in Tamil. That is a peeled off onion. If you go on peeling it off, nothing will remain. Exactly like that, our life also is situated. So the realization that nothing has inherent existence, that is called emptiness or voidness or sunya. The realization that nothing has inherent existence. As such, it is not exist, in other words. The Buddhist concept of voidness is the understanding that nothing has an inherent existence and that everything is composed of interdependent parts. This concept is sometimes referred to as emptiness or non-attachment. So that is the idea here, emptiness or non-attachment. Right. Literally a deeper concept actually, this sunya, voidness. The realization that nothing has inherent existence. It has no existence, in other words. As such, it is not existing, but it looks as if it is existing. That is the idea here. What are the four noble truths in Buddhism? That also we have to know it by heart. What are the four noble truths? Just now we have seen that. They have put it in a nutshell now. What is that? Suffering. There is suffering. Suffering can end. There is a path to, suffering, the end of suffering is possible. The path to cessation means the end of suffering is possible. How do you attain freedom or liberation? By observing by following the noble eightfold path. That is the idea here. So the four, noble path, noble truth is this. Noble truth is this, namely suffering, cessation of suffering. The path to cessation means the end. The noble eightfold path. The four noble truths are one of the core teachings of Buddhism, very important teachings of Buddhism. These truths are: suffering exists, suffering has a cause, suffering can be ended, and the noble eightfold path is the path to the end of suffering, cessation of suffering or the end of suffering. What are the three jewels of Buddhism? Three jewels of Buddhism, that is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. These are the three jewels of Buddhism. The three jewels of Buddhism are the Buddha, the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, and the Sangha, the spiritual community. These three things are considered to be of the utmost importance for Buddhist practitioners and are often used as a source of guidance and inspiration. What is the purpose of the Noble Eightfold Path? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of Noble Eightfold Path? And we already seen that. I think the question is repeated. To attain enlightenment. The Noble Eightfold Path is the fourth of the four noble truths in Buddhism. It is a system of ethics and principles which, when followed, can lead to enlightenment. Now we are going to give what are those 8 paths. Eightfold path means what? Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So these are the 8 noble paths The Noble Eightfold Path consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Who was the founder? Now we are going for Jainism. Who was the founder of Jainism? Mahavira. That we know that. Mahavira was a spiritual leader who lived in ancient India and is widely accepted as the founder of Jainism. He is widely accepted. Everyone accepts him as the founder of Jainism. What is the term Tarshan referred to in Jainism? There is a word Tarsana, Tarisanam Kedaikadana, that Tarshan. What is the term Tarshan referred to in Jainism? That is seeing a spiritual leader. That is the meaning of Tarshan in Jainism, seeing a spiritual leader. Please keep this in mind, small little facts, but very important. In Jainism, the term Tarshan refers to the act of seeing and being in the presence of a spiritual leader, such as a Jain monk or nun. So that is the idea here. See, they are enlightened persons. The very fact that you are present with them, you are blessed. In other words, they are all saintly people like. So in Jainism, Tarshan means seeing a spiritual leader. So I hope you understood this. The act of seeing and being in the presence of a spiritual leader, that is called Tarshan. According to Jainism, what is the ultimate goal of life? Of course, like Buddhism, enlightenment. This is also enlightenment. According to Jainism, the ultimate goal of life is to achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death and attain spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual wisdom, in other words, spiritual enlightenment. What is the primary source of knowledge in Jainism? What is the primary source? Of course, there are all may be the sources of knowledge. What is the primary source of knowledge? You have to understand the question. So, scriptures, according to Jainism, like many other religions, Jainism places primary emphasis or the most importance given to scripture. So Jainism puts a primary emphasis on scripture as the source of knowledge and truth. What is the concept of Anakandavada in Jainism? Anakandavada. That is the belief that the truth can be found in different forms. Anakandavada is the Jain doctrine of non-absolutism, which states that truth and reality can be viewed from different perspectives and can be expressed in different forms. What do you mean by absolutism and non-absolutism? Absolutism means the truth exists. For an example, idealism says, there is truth, beauty and goodness. Once and for all, it is ideal and absolute truth, according to idealism. I hope you understand this. So whereas non-absolute means nothing is so much important. In other words, everything is a relative. There is no one truth. Truth can be relative. That means different aspects of truth, different layers of truth exist. There is no only one truth. That is called, if somebody says there is only one truth, that is called absolutism. Whereas a non-absolute means truth is not one entity. Rather, it can be viewed from different perspectives and can be expressed in different forms. That is called non-absolutism. I hope you understand this. Very nice concepts. So Anakandavada is the Jain doctrine of non-absolutism. That means truth can be viewed from different forms, or truth can be found in different forms. That is called non-absolutism. There is no only one truth. That is called non-absolutism. I hope you understood this concept. What is the Jain practice of ahimsa? That is a non-violence towards all living beings. That is a Jain practice of ahimsa. Right? So you must know the correct concepts and need not worry about other alternatives as such. Non-violence towards all living beings. That is ahimsa according to Jainism. Ahimsa is a key concept in Jainism which emphasizes non-violence towards all living beings. What is the concept of Sayatvada in Jainism? Sayatvada. That is belief that truth can be found in different forms. That is called Sayatvada. In other words, it specifically says that truth is a relative. Truth is not of one entity. Truth is many, in other words. So truth can be found in different forms. That is called Sayatvada, the principle of Sayatvada. So the Sayatvada is the Jain doctrine of relativity. Relativity means comparison. No, there is no only one thing. Truth can be from this angle, truth can be from that angle, like that. No, that is called a relative doctrine of relativity. So Sayatvada is the Jain doctrine of relativity, which states that truth and reality can be viewed from different perspectives and can be expressed in different forms. What is the Jain practice of tapas? That is a restriction of pleasures. According to Jainism, say no to the pleasures. In other words, restriction of pleasures. That is worldly ways. No, coming out of one's worldly ways. Restriction of pleasures. Tapas is a Jain practice of self-discipline, which involves a restriction of physical and mental pressures. What is the concept of abharigraha in Jainism? That is a non-attachment to material possessions. Non-attachment to material possession. In other words, not having any greed over material things. In other words, so that is called abharigraha. Non-attachment or non-possession. Both words are okay. Non-attachment to material possessions, material things. Abharigraha is the Jain practice of non-attachment to material things and the release of attachment to the material world. Release of attachment. It means no more attachment. Released from that attachment. That is called abharigraha. Non-possession. Non-attachment. That is the meaning of abharigraha. What is the concept of samyak darshan in Jainism? See there is a samyak it will be starting. In one of the videos in my YouTube channel, namely this Jesudoss, you will find Jainism. And more truths I have explained, this samyak darshan, samyak intention, samyak sintan, so many things are there. It starts with the samyak. Please go through that. You find, nice insights there. Just it's a matter of a few minutes. 8 to 10 minutes, you will be able to get so many insights. Jesudoss channel, you go there and then find Jainism somewhere and you will get all such ideas there so wonderfully. Right, so Samyak Darshan means what? Right view. Darshan means see, the right view. The Samyak Darshan is the Jain practice of right view, which involves having a correct understanding of the nature of reality. So I hope you understood. Samyak Darshan means having a correct understanding of the nature of the reality or nature of the world. What is the ultimate goal of Jainism? That is moksha, no doubt about it. Moksha, enlightenment. Moksha is the ultimate goal of Jainism, which is the liberation from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. So I think better we have to understand it correctly. Moksha is the ultimate goal of Jainism. What does this mean? It is the liberation from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. Birth, rebirth, suffering. So moksha is once and for all, your soul is relieved or liberated from the cycle of birth, rebirth. So that is called moksha. The aim of Jainism is to attain the ultimate spiritual liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth, death and rebirth. What are the three jewels of Jainism? Like three jewels of Buddhism, there are three jewels of Jainism. What are they? They are right belief, right knowledge and right conduct, right behavior. These are the three jewels of Jainism. Right faith or right belief, right knowledge or right wisdom and right conduct, right behavior. Anyway, right belief, right knowledge and right conduct. These are the three jewels of Jainism. So what does this signify? What is the importance of these three jewels? We will find. Such kind of insights are very helpful for you to write descriptive answers. Please go through this. You will be enjoying your exam and also you will come with a great success. So kindly go through through such nuances, simple but elegant truths, at the same time deep truths also. So the three jewels of Jainism are right belief, right knowledge and right conduct. These jewels are the foundation of Jainism and represent the core values and teachings of Jainism. They are the core value and teachings of Jainism. These three jewels, that is a right belief, right knowledge and right conduct, right behavior. The right belief refers to having faith in the teachings of Jainism on the path of liberation. The right belief refers to having faith in the teachings of Jainism on the path of liberation. Right knowledge refers to understanding the truth and reality of existence on the path of liberation. Right conduct refers to living a life that is in accordance with the teachings of Jainism. So that is the understanding. What are the five main principles of Jainism? Five main principles of Jainism. So once and for all learn by heart. Of course they will be interchanging the order, but we have to put it in the correct order. We have to memorize, no other go. We have to put these principles into our green memory, right? What are the five principles of Jainism? That is Anakandavada, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya and Abharigraha. These are the five main principles of Jainism. Please once and for all get this. Anakandavada, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya and Abharigraha. What is the meaning of these terms? Of course, Anakandavada refers to the belief that truth is multifaceted. It doesn't come from one entity. Truth is many, in other words. It is not one entity, truth is many. That is the idea here. Anakandavada says truth is multifaceted and it can be seen from different perspectives. I hope you understood this very important concept in Jainism, Anakandavada. I mean, truth is multifaceted, different faces, not one face. That is the idea here. Ahimsa is the principle of non-violence and non-injury to all living beings. Ahimsa is the principle of non-violence and non-injury to all living beings. No injury to anyone, no harm to any creature. That is called Ahimsa. Satya is the principle of truthfulness and honesty. Of course, we know that Satyam. Satyam Sivam Sundaram. No? We know that. Satya is the principle of truthfulness and honesty. Asteya is the principle of non-stealing. Abharigraha is the principle of non-possession and non-attachment. I hope you understood all this. All five, you must keep this in mind. Such questions are there in memory-based and understanding-based questions, especially in paper 1, part B. Descriptive question, these things can be asked. I am absolutely sure about it. Each ism, Buddhism or Jainism, whatever ism, it contains some core ideas. These core ideas should be memorized by all means in order to write the descriptive answers in paper 1, part B, that is memory based and understanding based questions. So such kind of things are very important. Please go through that. So again, maybe I will be saying that, five main principles of Jainism, Anakandavada, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya and Abharigraha. Each meaning, each concept has got a meaning. Anakandavada refers to the belief that truth is multifaceted and can be seen from different perspectives. Ahimsa is the principle of non-violence and non-injury to all living beings. No harm, not harming any creature. That is the idea of Ahimsa. Satya is the principle of truthfulness and honesty. Of course, you know that. Asteya is the principle of non-stealing, not liking the possessions of others, or not trying to take away the possessions of others. So that is non-stealing. We should not steal things from others, in other words. That is called Asteya. Then Abharigraha is the principle of non-possession and non-attachment, not having any craving for any material thing. That is called Abharigraha. Non-possession and non-attachment towards material things. What is darshan in Jainism? Already we have seen that, I think. The practice of seeing and being seen by the Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras are sages in Jainism. No? or enlightened sages in Jainism. Uh, what is darshan in Jainism? That is the practice of seeing and being seen by the Tirthankaras. They are called Tirthankaras. Darshan in Jainism is the practice of seeing and being seen by the Tirthankaras or enlightened beings. It is believed that the Tirthankaras have the ability to transmit spiritual energy to those who come to see them. These people are so much divine and full of grace that anyone who sees them get blessings from them. Automatically the grace is transferred from this enlightened person to the person who comes there, who comes to see such Tirthankaras. I hope you understood this. So these Tirthankaras, enlightened human beings, have the ability to transmit spiritual energy to those who come to see them, which can lead to spiritual enlightenment. This practice is seen as an important part of Jainism, as it allows a person to receive spiritual guidance and inspiration from the Tirthankaras. What is the concept of Anakantavada in Jainism? Of course, we have already seen that the belief that the truth can be seen from different perspectives. Anakantavada is a concept that truth can be seen from different perspectives. This concept is an important part of Jainism, as it emphasizes the importance of understanding different perspectives and points of view. Jainism teaches that truth is multifaceted and can be seen from various angles. Truth can be seen from various angles. This concept allows for the consideration of multiple points of view and encourages an open-minded approach to understanding the truth. So that is why we need Jainism also in our modern day education. Truth, not only one thing, it can be coming from different angles. So open-minded approach we are teaching the students. That way application is there, application to the modern world, this particular Jainism concept. Right, what is the Islamic concept of knowledge? Now we are going for Islamic concept of knowledge, that is acquiring secular knowledge. Acquiring secular knowledge, that is the Islamic concept of knowledge. According to Islamic philosophy, knowledge is the key to understanding the world and living a life of purpose. Accordingly, Muslims are encouraged to pursue knowledge regardless of whether it is religious or secular. Whether it is religious knowledge or secular knowledge, knowledge is knowledge. Knowledge comes from Allah. Now that is the understanding. So the Muslims are encouraged to pursue knowledge regardless of whether it is religious or secular. So acquiring secular knowledge here, that is the right answer. The Islamic concept of knowledge, not only religious education, secular knowledge. That comes from Allah. That is the understanding here. Right. What is the Islamic concept of darshan? Darshan, being in the presence of Allah, that is called the Islamic concept of darshan, that is being in the presence of Allah. Darshan is a Sanskrit term that translates to sight and refers to the concept of being in the presence of God. In Islam, this concept is known as the divine presence or the presence of Allah, and it is the ultimate goal of all Muslims to be in the divine presence of Allah. To be in the presence of Allah, that is the ultimate goal of all Muslims. Please, that is called the darshan for Muslims. Sanskrit term that translates to sight. Right. According to Islamic philosophy, what is the purpose of knowledge? That is to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Finally, any knowledge should lead to spiritual enlightenment. So Muslims also have that philosophy. Islamic philosophy is that. According to Islamic philosophy, knowledge is the key to understanding the world and living a life of purpose. Very important. To live a life of purpose. It is seen as a means to spiritual enlightenment, as it allows us to gain insight into the nature of Allah and the world. So that is achieving spiritual enlightenment. That is the meaning of spiritual enlightenment in the Islamic world, in the Islamic philosophy. That is, the world, this is knowledge. I mean, the knowledge is the way to understanding the world and living a life of purpose. It is seen as a means to spiritual enlightenment. Knowledge becomes a way to spiritual enlightenment, as it allows us to gain insight into the nature of Allah and the world. Finally, spiritual enlightenment. Whatever knowledge you may be gaining, but it should lead to spiritual enlightenment, to the presence of Allah, no? That is the understanding. What is the Arabic word for knowledge? Marifa, ilm, hikmah, ula. What is the Arabic word for knowledge? That is ilm. Ilm, no? The ilm, that is the Arabic word for knowledge. Ilm is the Arabic word for knowledge. It is derived from the verb alima, which means to know or to have knowledge. What is the name of the, of course you understood this, ilm is the Arabic word for knowledge. It is derived, it comes from the word alima, alima, which means to know or to have knowledge. So ilm is the Arabic word for knowledge, you must understand that. What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that based on reason? Reason, no? That is Kalam. Abdul Kalam, no? Kalam, no? The enlightened person. What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on reason? Kalam. Kalam is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on reason. It is also known as Islamic theology, and it is concerned with the fundamental beliefs or doctrines of Islam. So the Kalam is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on reason. Please once and for all know that. Of course, there are so many things in Islam, and some of the things we expose. Kindly go through my YouTube channel, that is just so easy. There I would have explained these things also, Islam, and some more ideas you may be getting there. So kindly go through that, and in case it is not there, I think I will put it also. I already prepared somewhere, it is there. Again I will just speak and then put it there, and see different aspects of different isms, not only mine. There are so many facts, so many nuances, and we are able to exhibit maybe most important aspects. Is it enough? We don't know. They may be asking from any corner, no? So best thing is to go through some books. Best thing is to listen to others. The best thing is to analyze. I mean, to have an exploration in the internet. You simply put Islam philosophy like that. No, everything will be there. So some of the things which you are not finding here may be there. You take down in your notes. So that is how you have to prepare for TRB. TRB is not an easy exam, of course. You need a thorough preparation, no doubt about it. Okay, what is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on revelation? What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on revelation? That is Tawhid. Tawhid is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on revelation, velipad. That comes out, no? Revelation. So Tawhid. So Tawhid is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on revelation. It is concerned with the unity of God and the oneness of His will. So that is revealed. So we cannot get it. The God only reveals. That is the idea of revelation. Revelation, you cannot expect that. Simply God reveals. In Christianity also there is a revelation. Revelation of the end of the world and the beginning of the new era. All such things are there in the Revelation book. Likewise, Islam also is having revelation. That is, Tawhid is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on revelation. It is concerned with the study of God and the oneness of His will. What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the principles of Sharia? Sharia rules and regulations. And Sharia, now Afghanistan is using this word often in order to sabotage the rights of women, and women are not given their rights because of the Sharia. They call it Sharia, rules and regulations revealed by God, they say, but it is oppressive. That is what democratic countries say. We don't know which is right or not. But in Afghanistan, women are undergoing terrible pain, no doubt about it. Many people were studying in the university, all stopped now, and beyond certain class they cannot study hereafter. So after this Taliban came into power, and they are following Sharia, and we need to explore that exactly. We don't know what it is, but Sharia means rules and regulations revealed by God, perhaps. So what is the name of the Islamic philosophy and knowledge that is based on the principle of Sharia? That is Usul al-Fiqh. Usul al-Fiqh is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the principles of Sharia. It is concerned with understanding the foundations of Islamic law, and it is based on the Quran, the Sunnah, and the consensus of the scholars. So now we can understand the Sharia laws comes from the Quran, the Sunnah, that is the sayings from the words from Allah Himself, that is Sunnah, and the consensus of the scholars. Many scholars talk about the practical life of Muslims. So the consensus that is also there in Sharia, that is Usul al-Fiqh, the Islamic philosophy of knowledge, that is based on the principles of Sharia, means the rules and regulations. These rules and regulations come from Quran, the Sunnah, and the consensus of the scholars. Quran, we know the Holy Bible, like Holy Bible, Quran is the holy scripture for Muslims. The Sunnah is the sayings or words uttered by Allah Himself. And the consensus of the scholars is, over the years there have been so many Muslim scholars, and they have come to certain important points in life, or they have decided certain things for practical life. That is consensus of the scholars. So that is Usul al-Fiqh, coming from Sharia, principles of Sharia. What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the purposes of Sharia? What is the name of the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the purpose of Sharia? That is Maqasid al-Sharia. Maqasid al-Sharia. What is the name of this? Maqasid al-Sharia is the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the purposes of Sharia. Not only rules and regulations, why it should be maintained, why it should be followed, there is a purpose. So this Maqasid al-Sharia talks about that. Okay, the Islamic philosophy of knowledge that is based on the purposes of Sharia. It is concerned with understanding the goals and purposes of Islamic law, and it is based on the Quran, the Sunnah, and the consensus of the scholars. Right. So I hope you understood this. Now certain higher order questions we can ask. Higher order questions means analysis, synthesis, practical use, evaluation, or problem solving skill, anything that could be there. From this area, this part A, what could be the higher order questions? I have just given you models. I am giving you some models. I don't think that I exhausted all these models, but I have given some important models. This would be very helpful for you. That much I can say. Of course, when you go through all these, any type of question you will be able to tick correctly. That is the idea. So how can the concept of Purusha and Prakriti in Sankhya philosophy be applied in modern educational psychology? It's a very nice question, a practical question, problem solving skill they want to get from you. How can the concept of Purusha and Prakriti in Sankhya philosophy be applied in modern educational psychology? So I have put like this, by emphasizing innate intelligence and environmental influences on learning. This is how you can put these concepts into practice. That is Purusha and Prakriti in Samkhya philosophy. That is by emphasizing innate intelligence. Is for an example, Purusha. What is Purusha? Purusha is nothing but unchanging eternal consciousness. So in education we are arriving at that type of innate intelligence. Intelligence is a pure consciousness. It comes from that. So we emphasize innate intelligence in education. At the same time, environmental influences on learning. What is happening to this Prakriti? Prakriti is always influenced by the world, by the senses, by the five bhutas, right? By so many disturbances. So the environmental influences on learning. So this is how we can utilize these concepts in the modern education. It gives clarity to the modern education that way. Purusha and Prakriti, consciousness and matter, highlight the balance between inherent intelligence, pure consciousness, and environmental learning conditions, that is Prakriti, that influence of the worldly things, environmental learning conditions. Similar to cognitive psychology, it is almost similar to cognitive psychology. Very nice, no? This question, higher order question, how can the concept of Purusha and Prakriti in Sankhya philosophy be applied in modern educational psychology? It is very close to cognitive psychology. That is how we are relating it with the modern psychology, this particular concept. So the Purusha consciousness and the Prakriti matter highlight the balance between inherent intelligence and environmental learning conditions similar to cognitive psychology. So these two concepts remind us of cognitive psychology, that is the activities of the brain, no? That is the idea here. In what way does Sankhya philosophy align with Dayananda Darshan's emphasis on Vidya, knowledge? In what way does Sankhya philosophy correspond or go along with Dayananda Darshan's emphasis on Vidya? That is, both emphasize Sankhya philosophy as well as Dayananda Darshan's philosophy emphasize logical and rational inquiry. That is more important. Of course, different alternatives are given, but you have to get it correctly. There's a logical and rational inquiry, both talk about. That should come to your mind, right? That is this both. Both means what? Sankhya philosophy and Dayananda Darshan's philosophy on Vidya, they focus their attention on logicality or logical and rational inquiry. So the Dayananda Saraswati promoted knowledge based on reason and experience, much like Sankhya's reliance on rational analysis. Sankhya also talks about a rational analysis, isn't it? And how do you attain liberation? By becoming fully aware of the pure consciousness, that is Purusha, right? So there comes a rational analysis, that is, you understand that. You do understand the connection. That is, in the Sankhya philosophy, the Prakriti tries to understand Purusha, that is a full consciousness, whereas the Prakriti is tainted with the worldly affairs, and it is sometimes stifled with ignorance, right? So going beyond one's ignorance, slowly becoming aware of that Purusha, that is through rational analysis only that can be done. So this is how we must relate. So Dayananda Saraswati promoted knowledge based on reason and experience, much like Sankhya's reliance on rational analysis. How can the Ashtanga yoga system, that is eightfold path, that is the Ashtanga means 8. So how can the Ashtanga yoga system contribute to the development of self-regulation among students? This is the application question actually. How do you understand Ashtanga yoga? How it is used in modern education for the students? So the application question is a higher order question. How can the Ashtanga yoga system contribute to the development of self-regulation among students? That is, by promoting self-discipline through ethical contact and meditation. So very interesting, no? So how do they get this one? That is, how can Ashtanga yoga system contribute to the development of self-regulation? In other words, discipline. This eightfold path actually helps even the modern students to attain self-discipline through contact and meditation. What is the meaning of yoga? That is, you get liberation through yogic practices, isn't it? Meditation, yoga practices. So self-discipline can be attained through contact and meditation. That is the idea here. The eightfold path of yoga encourages ethical values, mental concentration, and self-discipline, which are essential for self-regulation of the students. This is the application question. I hope you understand. Somewhere or other you must have the link. Of course, linking properly, that's what is important. Of course, you will get a clue there. One of the alternatives will be the correct one. After seeing that, immediately you can just put it. By promoting self-discipline through ethical contact and meditation, the eightfold path of yoga can be encouraged, right? So it encourages ethical values, mental concentration, self-discipline, which are essential for self-regulation. How does the concept of pratyahara, withdrawal of senses, apply to modern education? Pratyahara, withdrawal of, that means what? Withdrawal of senses means transcending oneself from the sense experiences, the 5 senses, isn't it? So that is called pratyahara. So how does the concept of pratyahara apply to modern education? That is concentration. After all, encouraging students to focus and eliminate distractions. Concentration, concentrating on studies. So that is the application of pratyahara in modern education. So encouraging students to focus and eliminate distractions, to prevent distractions, in other words. Pratyahara helps students cultivate mindfulness and attention control, aiding concentration in a distracting world. I hope you understand this. Pratyahara helps that way. Pratyahara means what? Withdrawal from senses, and through yoga you do that also. So that way one can attain concentration in a distracting world. Pratyahara means, going away from the senses, in other words, withdrawal of senses. How does Vedanta's concept of Brahman influence the ideal of holistic education? Of course, Vedic concept talks about Brahman, no? Tattvamasi. You are Brahman. Brahman is you, no? Tattvamasi. That is the principle of Tattvamasi. You become Brahman, you become divine. So that's why people used to say, man can become an animal. Man can become a man. Man can become divine. No? So there are three aspects normally we used to talk about in our practical life, like that. So man can become Brahman. So one become identifying oneself with the Brahman. That is a Vedanta's concept. So the question is how this concept of Brahman, identifying oneself with the divine, with the Brahman, influences the ideal of holistic education in the modern world. That is, by fostering a universal, interconnected approach to learning. So that is the idea here. So Brahman means what? The universal, the universal truth, that universal soul, that Brahman. And you need to get identified with it. Sivaloham Adaidal, no? Attaining Sivaloka. We used to say, no? So Brahman. So what is the idea here? By fostering a universal, interconnected approach to learning. So that is the application of this concept of Brahma, in the modern education. So Vedanta's idea of Brahman emphasizes unity in knowledge, aligning with the holistic education that integrates multiple disciplines. So unity in knowledge. Vedanta's idea of Brahman emphasizes unity in knowledge. It's different things we study, but finally we need to unify that, or we have to unite them all to one entity, to one knowledge horizon. So that is the idea here. So many they see it cannot be compartmentalized. It cannot be separate. Knowledge, finally, whatever you study should be integrated. So that is what this concept, implies finally. Vedanta's idea of Brahman emphasizes unity in knowledge, aligning with the holistic education that integrates multiple disciplines. How can all these Sankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta philosophy influence moral education? All the Sankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta philosophy. What does this mean? It talks about self-realization. Self-realize, So you are finally divine, no? That is what is self-realization. So Adi Sankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, Tattvamasi, you are God, in other words, you are divine, no? So that's the idea here. Adi Sankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta emphasizes self-realization and ethical living. So that is helpful in the modern education. Advaita Vedanta encourages self-awareness and moral responsibility, fostering ethical development in students. That is Advaita Vedanta encourages self-awareness and moral responsibility, fostering ethical development of students. So this is done by emphasizing self-realization and ethical living. So Advaita Vedanta emphasizes self-realization and ethical living in students. Some or other you connect, the main idea is connected with the modern education. So how can the four noble truths of Buddhism be applied in modern educational settings? The four noble truths, of course you know that the suffering exists. There is a way to end suffering. Suffering can be ended. There is a way to end suffering. The way is eightfold path. These are all four noble truths. We know that. How this can be applied in modern educational settings? That is by teaching students resilience and problem solving strategies. See, how does Buddha attain enlightenment? He knows the exact problem. Suffering is the root cause of all, all man's illness, or that is what puts the man down. Suffering. So there is suffering. He knows for certain. He knows it for certain. So suffering, there is a possibility of ending suffering. So the four noble truths are that. Very practical terms actually. This is what the reality of life. So Buddha has enlightenment over these practical aspects of life. So how this could be applied to the modern education? That's the idea. So by teaching students resilience and problem solving strategies, like Buddha has solved the riddle of suffering. Like that, by teaching students resilience and problem solving strategies, the four noble truths emphasize understanding suffering, the causes, and the ways to overcome it, which helps students develop resilience. In what way does the Buddhist concept of anatta, non-self, challenge traditional approaches to identify development in education? In what way does the Buddhist concept of anatta means non-self. So non-self, we already said it now, urita vengayam, peeled off onion, no? That is, as you go on peeling it off, nothing exists, no? That is called non-self. There is no inherent self, in other words. No self is existing, in other words. So by promoting a flexible and evolving concept of self, so this is how one has to do. That is, the Buddhist concept of anatta challenges traditional approaches to identify development in education. Right? Anatta encourages students to see identity as dynamic, aligning with the growth mindset theories in education. It's a very, very deep idea actually. By promoting a flexible and evolving concept of self, and anatta, that is non-self, encourages students to see identity as dynamic, aligning with the growth mindset. There is no only one truth. You just go on growing and growing. That is the idea given by this concept of anatta, non-self. So don't be stuck with one area. Go on exploring life. In other words, have the growth mindset. In other words, so that is how anatta encourages students to see identity as dynamic, aligned with growth mindset theories and education. How can Anakantavada doctrine of multiple perspectives enhance critical thinking in students? That is, by encouraging them to consider diverse viewpoints. Anakantavada means different viewpoints. So we encourage the student to consider diverse viewpoints. We should not ask them to see only one truth. This is the truth, we should not say. Let them see truth from different angles. That is the idea of Anakantavada in modern education. Anakantavada teaches that truth has multiple facets, which fosters analytical and critical thinking in students. How does Jain Ahimsa non-violence contribute to peace education in schools? How does Jain Ahimsa, that non-violence? By promoting non-violent communication and conflict resolution. This is how it contributes to peace education. I mean, students should not use bad words. They should not use violent words. We should train them. So if we take this Ahimsa of Jainism seriously, then we must do that. By promoting non-violent communication and conflict resolution in the students. Ahimsa encourages peaceful interactions and problem solving, essential for modern peace education. How can the Islamic emphasis on Tawhid, unity of God, be applied to the integration of knowledge in education? Tawhid means the unity of God. எல்லாம் இறைவன் செயல், எல்லாம் அவன் புகழுக்கு, எல்லாம் அல்லாவினுடைய புகழுக்கு, எல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு தானே செய்கிறாங்க. Even A.R. Rahman used to say, when he got the Nobel Prize, that's what it said. கடவுளுக்கு புகழ்னா அல்லாவுக்கு புகழ் உண்டாகுன்னு சொல்லி தான் அந்த இதை வாங்குறார், அந்த அவார்டை வாங்குறார். You could have seen that. So, what is this, Tawhid, unity of God, we apply to the integration of knowledge in education by fostering interdisciplinary learning and holistic education. Dawit emphasizes unity in all aspects of life, which aligns with the holistic and interdisciplinary education models. Dawit emphasizes unity in all aspects of life, which aligns with the holistic and interdisciplinary education models. That is why we say no, they can do business, they can get secular knowledge. Finally, it should lead to unity with God, the presence of Allah. We already see that is Tawhid. So the Tawhid emphasizes unity in all aspects of life, including knowledge, including skills, including one's business. Everything should lead towards that God's presence or presence of Allah. That is called Tawhid in Islamic philosophy. How does the Islamic concept of Ijtihad means independent reasoning, contribute to scientific inquiry in education. Ijtihad means independent reasoning. So, how does this concept Ijtihad contribute to scientific inquiry in education? That is by encouraging critical thinking and research. That is the concept of Ijtihad. That is, encouraging critical thinking and research. Ijtihad supports analytical reasoning and inquiry, essential for scientific progress and innovation. I hope you understand how you can interlink with the concepts of various isms. This is how you can ask the higher order questions. Especially the application part is very important. The Ijtihad supports analytical reasoning and inquiry, essential for scientific progress and innovation. How can the Islamic tradition of adab, ethical conduct, be applied in character education programs? Adab means ethical conduct, right? Islamic tradition of adab through Sharia, rules and regulations. So, how can the Islamic tradition of adab, ethical conduct, be applied in character education programs in the schools? By teaching students discipline, respect, and moral values. That is the correct one. Because that is adab, ethical conduct, adab. So, what is the end result of that? By teaching students discipline, respect, and moral values. This is how that can be practiced. Adab fosters character development and social responsibility, essential for ethical education. I hope some of the important questions we are given are actually very deep indeed. Some or other you have to imagine and then have some link with the concepts. I mean, it's very easy. What is that? No, we are mature enough to understand all this and understand the meaning of the concepts and the meaning in the modern world. Easily you can get the correct answer. So it's not so difficult. If you know the basic meanings of each concept, then any type of higher order questions you could be able, you could take it correct. So God bless you abundantly. This is a part A of unit 1, and we will go for part B, right? Maybe tomorrow. So God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in another video. This video is seen in the new channel, JesuNet, JesuNet. JesuNet is a new English channel. This will be put there. So I will go on uploading English videos in that new channel. Kindly subscribe and go through that at least once. You will be profiting a lot for your TRB examination or net examination. You will be getting quite a lot of insights. So thank you very much, dear friends. I would like to suggest you one thing, that is, take all the explanatory part. You are supposed to give the most important, focused answers for each question. Descriptive answers. You cannot be giving, we used to, suppose somebody asks for Gandhian philosophy, simply we will start with it. Gandhian philosophy is such a wonderful philosophy in the world. You cannot beat this philosophy with any other philosophy. Like that, we'll go on giving all false ideas. In the exam, that is okay, ordinary exam. But this is TRB exam, focused answers. So for that reason, I am asking you, go through all the explanatory part. Write down all the explanations and put your own flesh also. Write down again and again. And this will be of great help to you. For example, suppose I am talking about Vedanta. So whatever explanation part is available for Vedanta, put them together and then see the link, and that you just memorize, put it into your mind, and that will be of great help. Easily you will be able to memorize. At the same time, things will flow in the exam hall. You must write it down at least once. So don't cram your mind with too many ideas. Some important. So I'll give you the model also. Don't worry, I already get it. I have got it. And maybe objective type questions I am giving just now. Likewise, I will start giving this descriptive answers in a short and easy way. How you should approach it with the summary form. After giving explanatory part, I will give you the summary. You read out the summary, memorize that summary part, what are the points, and then write down in your own words. Of course, you can follow my own material, or you can follow your own material. Of course, you must be having your own material. After all, you have done your M.Ed, or other, even PhD, some of you would have done it. Certainly, you should be able to get all the notes. But I am giving you only the models. Based on these models, try to write everything on your own. Simple and elegant. Don't study too much and then get into problem. What is essential for that particular question? Number 1, 2, 3, like that. Focused answers. I try to give it that way, and try to read and then reflect, and you have your own practice with your own notes. I am giving just model. I will start soon. After 2 or 3 videos, objective type videos, I will start descriptive answers videos also side by side. Of course, it will be a little pretty long, but if you need models, then go through that. At least 1 or 2 models you go through. I will exhaust everything. Whatever question will be asked, I will be exposing. Both this memory-based descriptive answers, understanding-based descriptive answers, that is in paper 1, part B. In paper 2, part B, completely what you call the higher order questions. Higher order descriptive answers. Higher order questions, application questions, analysis questions, synthesis questions. So as I already asked, here in the objective type. So descriptive answers also could be given like that. I'll give you the models, questions, models, everything. And you follow your own method. I don't want to interfere in that, because you are not ordinary people, as I already told you. I don't consider you as ordinary simple people, because you have already gone through NET exam, you have got through in NET exam, you know what is what, you know the material, you know the concepts. Now you are competing with the intellectuals, that I know. Maybe if some of my models are very helpful for you, please take it. Still, I will not compel you, because you are having your own unique structure of the mind. You will be going on, you will be journeying in your own, construction of your mind. You will go according to your plan, in other words. So, that also you do. Just read here and there. When I give certain things, please read. This will be of great help. But especially objective type questions, sure, please go through my objective type questions. I am sure most of the questions you will be getting, I hope. And also, not only this, I will also explore new possibilities of getting new material also in the same area. That also I will be giving, side by side, till the exam I will be giving new materials for you. Just read it at least once. You will be blessed by God in this exam. God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in other video lectures.